hell yeah. How many times could Jim Ross in one TV show say, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, hell yeah, Stone Cold.
He did say it.
Give me a hell yeah, my God. Come on, somebody had a Stone Cold shirt on. Where are you? Stone Cold, my God, Stone Cold. For Christ's sakes, quit saying Stone Cold, asshole. We know his name already.
Right, do you want to talk about rhythm and blues, or do you want to talk about the Ultimate Warrior? Pick one of those two things.
Rhythm and snooze. It was I was rhythm and Greg was snooze. So they had finished up with me and the Warrior, and they were going to they had finished with Greg as the Cream Team or Dream Team, and they said, we'll put you guys together. We travel together. Jimmy Hart was managing us. So, and then they said, Greg, you need to have black hair. So they quickly went in the locker room one night, dyed his hair black, and they said, we need a name. And I'm thinking, Pat says, we need a name really quick. And it's like, you guys are on in 2 minutes. And Ravishing Rick Rude is sitting over, he said, I have it, rhythm and blues. Honky's rhythm, and Greg is always snoozing like blues. And Pat said, I like it, let's do it. So they ran over there and they told the people in the TV truck, and that's how we did it. Consequently, Greg did not put his best effort into it, as Billy Gunn didn't put his best effort into rockabilly. When someone doesn't want to do anything, then they don't put their best effort. And if you don't put out the effort, you're not going to get any results. Especially you're not going to get positive results. So Greg he didn't really want to do it and everything. And now he tells me, I wish I'd have worked harder at that. We could have probably stayed there a long time. They were going to put the tag belts on us. We were going to beat the Hart Foundation for the tag team belts until they got the Road Warriors came in. But anyway, they put the black hair on Greg, and he says, I hate this black hair. He kept saying, I hate this black hair. Any of you seen Valentine lately? He says, I swear to you, I'm working at a car show. We had 10 of these World of Wheels car shows, these big car shows that they have around. They have them all over the world. I had 10 of them booked. We're in Atlanta on our second show. And I had 8 more to go. Somebody went by at the table. It was me, Virgil, and Greg. And they took a picture, they take it up front, show the promoter. Promoter comes back to us and says, somebody took a picture of you guys sleeping back here. And Virgil said, it ain't me, man. You know me. I've been with you for a couple of years. I said, well, it sure wasn't me. He said, that guy was sleeping. He said, pack your shit, you're done. I said, what about Dallas? What about our other shows? He said, you're done. Now that's a whole bunch of shows on your calendar that's canceled. He was taking somas and all that shit. He said he was depressed. You're broke and you need money and you're depressed and you take shit and you sleep. Rhythm and snooze. So I said, why don't you like the black hair? I can't get any pussy. Girls don't like black hair. I said, why are you worried about getting women? You're married. I said, I've had black hair for 30 fucking years and it ain't stopped me from doing anything. But anyway, he didn't want to do it. If someone does not want to do something, and Billy Gunn did not want to do the rockabilly, it will not work, folks. It just will not work. It's like pulling teeth. And you want to be there and you want to be with the company, you want to extend your career for a little bit longer, then, this is not the worst things to dye your hair black and go out there and act like you're singing. He didn't know the words to any of the damn songs. So that was it. He's rhythm, I'm snooze, and I say it every time. I said it to him sitting there with him the other day. Now he's taking, what's this shit these guys, they don't take the somas in, Xanax. Oh, yeah. so depressed. Depressed? I'm broke. But you're begging for bookings. Why are you taking these depression things? I'm not taking them anymore. Well, how many you had to do? I've cut back only 6. Okay. I had him booked 30 miles away one night in Denver, Colorado. This was in August. I had him booked. He begged me, please book me, please book me. I had him booked. I said, the guy will be here at 3 o'clock to pick us up. We're doing a Comic-Con. 3 o'clock, I said, here comes the guy. He said, I don't think I'm going. I said, it's only 30 minutes away. You're going to make like $500. We're only going to be there for a half hour, sign autographs and leave. I don't want to go that far. I said, if you fuck me on this deal, I'll never book you again. And I told him last week in Milwaukee, he said, why don't you book me on that tour? I said, because you fucked me in Denver 3 months ago and I'll never book you again. Now go back to sleep. I'm telling you, these are all true stories. I know you don't want that crowd over in London. They were like rowdy. They were drinking beer. I mean, they were hell yeah. Give me a hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh come on, give me a hell yeah. Hell yeah. There you go. By God.
Right, that guy just earns one of the questions in the Q&A. It is that time of the evening.
See, I don't do these things. I don't know who's been over here with you guys.
Just roll it!
Hell yeah.
Roll it!
Give me a hell yeah, by God.
Hell yeah, by God!
See, I don't know what Kurt Angle does. I don't know what Bret. I know what Bret does. The one promoter, I said, how was Bret? He said, well, it took a half hour for him to say the word and. Excellence of execution. Bullshit.
You're the best I've ever seen, Bob.
Damn right. Give me a hell yeah.
Best I've ever seen.
I don't know what these other guys do, but to sit here so in just like formality, that shit don't work for me, man. And I ain't had no crack cocaine from Jake Roberts or nothing. I'm running off a couple of beers tonight.
Right, let's talk about it. We've got to talk about it.
I got to talk about Bret for a minute. Bret and I have had like 100 matches. And he got pissed off at me for a while because he wrote in a book. These assholes write these fucking books, you know what I'm saying? Now I'll get to Mick Foley, bring him back to me. I go around, I kind of take the long, like the snake highway over here. Anybody been on that fucking snake highway? Snake something over
Snake
in the
Pass.
Snake Pass.
I was on it the other day. The girl's driving a little Honda car. She banged my head against a fucking wall. I mean, I need some Xanax or whatever shit Valentine takes. So Bret writes in his book. Now I'll talk like Bret because Bret has like 10 brothers and 2 or 3 sisters. There's a whole bunch of them fuckers. And Stu talked. And Honky Tonk Man, he's having a talent. Goddamn, he's hard to control. He's always bitches about his fucking money. I tell Stu one night we got a sold out house. And I walk up behind him, he's standing there, got his old leather jacket on, he's leaning over sideways. I walk up right up in his ear, because I knew Stu used to go on Tuesday to the Safeway supermarket and look for reduced meat. I leaned up in his ear and I went, I would like to have us, because the houses were sold out and Stu was not giving me any extra money. I said, I'd like to have a steak every now and again myself. He did not hesitate. He turned right around and went, goddammit, if you think the grass is greener somewhere else, go graze in another pasture. Just that fast, he told me if I didn't like what was he telling me? If you don't like what I'm paying you, you can pack your bag and leave. And I didn't say another word. I just walked away. And the next week, he gave me a $100 bonus. Actually raised my check $100 for the rest of the time I was there. And I was there like 2 different times over a 5-year period. It's Stu and 10 of his sons and 3 of his daughters. It's like, Honky Tonk Man, do you really want this aggravation? I must have loved it. But anyway, Bret was, God bless her. Natty Nyhart, Jim's daughter. I look at the TV, she looks like Jim. And when she is talking, not on TV, and I love that she's a great talent, she pulls at her chin like Jim. That Jake Roberts. Jake don't share. What do you mean he doesn't share? Well, you remember that show we had and nobody wanted to do the finish with Jake? Yeah. He won't share. What do you mean? He had a big rock like this big, and he wouldn't share it. So anyway, Bret puts in his book that he goes into Jim's room, and Jim went, can you believe that? Bret said I had a mound of cocaine. And Jim's very animated. A mound of cocaine. But Bret put in his book that it was Jim's. And Jim says, but Bret never said he was the first one to drop over there and go out of that. So, but I like Bret and I, Bret put in his book, he did not like working with me because I didn't hit him hard enough. I was too soft on him. Well, Goldberg kicked him in the head one time. Come on, did he not? Tell me.
Yep.
Put Bret out of the business, gave Bret a stroke. Bret couldn't raise a flag anymore. That's how I said all this. But Bret put in his book that I was too soft on him. And here's a guy that kicked him in the head one time, put him out of business the rest of his life. So my comeback was this. Who had you rather be in the ring with every night for the next year, for the next 5 years, for the rest of your career? Me? Or the guy that kicked you in the fucking head and put you out of the business? You guys tell me. Thank you very much. That's my Bret story. Now the Mick Foley story. These fuckers write these books. I don't write books. Because I'm telling you all this stuff right now. Because if I wrote this in a book, none of you people would believe it. I swear to you, you would not believe it. It's impossible to believe that this shit really happens to a human being. That we do this silly nonsense. It's not the wrestling, it's the shit that happens afterwards. Foley writes in his book, Honky Tonk Man hits Jake Roberts so hard, Jake Roberts has to have neck surgery and go to rehab. I got really pissed at that one. If you're a wrestling promoter and you read that book, if you're a wrestler, a young wrestler, and you read that shit, you would say, I don't want to book the Honky Tonk Man because he's going to hurt somebody. He's going to hurt Dave over here with the guitar. He's going to hurt Jake's young student over here. He's going to hurt, by God, Stone Cold over there, by God. So the only time I really ever called anyone out, I picked the phone up and I called Mick Foley's house. And I questioned him about this. And I says to him, you're a journalist now, Mick, you're writing books. And I said, I don't know a whole lot about journalism, but I can damn sure tell you this. Always check your sources. Always check with anyone you can before you print some silly fucking nonsense. And I said, when you printed that shit about me sending Jake Roberts to rehab and him getting neck surgery because I hit him so hard, I said, you've damaged my career. People don't want to book me anymore. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I said, well, who did you ask about this? Well, I asked Jake. I said, well, that's good. You asked a fucking crackhead? I said, Jake doesn't even remember getting hit with the guitar. I said, besides that, the guitar was so gimmicked up I had to hide it because the guys in the locker room wanted to pick it up and play with it. I said, you didn't call and ask me. You asked Jake Roberts. And I said, you know what? Jake wrestled 2 years before he had neck surgery. Now, if you got a broken fucking neck, you don't go for 2 years before you go have surgery, right? Give me a hallelujah. Somebody give me a hell yeah. And I said, Mick, the dust that I knocked out of Jake's nose, I mean his ears, did not send him to multiple times at rehab. Not once, folks. Multiple times Jake Roberts went to rehab. How did I know this? Because Jake was booked with me. And we couldn't have matches because he would go 6 weeks into fucking rehab. My friend back there, Dean Douglas, will tell you that if a substitute comes in and wrestles in someone's spot, the substitute, they make it a non-title match. Sold out Boston, Chicago, Detroit, Miami, Montreal, San Francisco, Seattle. Jake's not here. Okay, non-title match. We bring in Lanny Poffo. He beats me. We bring in the Crusher for Denver, for Milwaukee, Chicago. He beats me. Every night for 6 weeks, there's a substitute, and I lose right in the middle of the ring every night. But, what did I say? Look here, Mean Gene, I still have it. Jake comes back, we have about a month's worth of matches. He's gone to rehab again. That is a career killer, folks, I'm telling you. I'm trying to get people to come and buy tickets, and this son of a bitch, it wasn't for me hitting him. So I really ringed Foley out. So Foley says, you know, Honky Tonk, man, I'm really sorry. I mean, I'm going to do another book, and I'll retract that, and I'll fix it. He never did. I haven't seen him since then, but if I ever see that son of a bitch, I'm telling him the same thing. When you write another fucking book, tell the truth about it. I'm pissed off.
Talking about pissed off.
No, let's talk about Ric Flair now. Woo! Woo! Okay.
Well,
I'm going to get the Flair in his book, too. Don't worry.
I was actually going to say...
These are good stories, but they're all true.
In 1994, you were in WCW.
That's my third marriage, I think.
And you didn't last very long. And Eric Bischoff said that you were his favourite firing. Do you want to bitch about Eric Bischoff as well?
Can you imagine a guy that... And he wrote this book, it was a WWE book, I think it was.
Controversy
Obviously,
creates cash?
Controversy creates cash. And they obviously passed on, yeah, go ahead and write this bad stuff about Honky Tonk Man, because they stay pissed off at me. They do the greatest intercontinental matches, they don't put me on them. They do a DVD of this, they don't put me on it. That son of a bitch, we're over here in England for him. Now I'll get back to Jake Roberts. I'm not done with that fucker. Anyway, I go to WCW. Someone says, how long were you there? I said, I was not there long enough to learn the words to the song. I wasn't. I still don't know the words to that song Jimmy Hart wrote. I wasn't there long enough. I know that the first day I went there, and Jimmy Hart had called me, and Hogan was going in there, and they were going to eventually get Savage, and we were going like the whole team of guys going to go in there and change this WCW from that good old boy Charlotte network that had of Flair and Arn and all those people that they had. So anyway, I said sure. Flair calls me on the phone one day. He's got Jesse Ventura. Puts Jesse on the phone first, and Jesse kind of warms me up, and then puts Flair on the phone. And Flair says, oh, yeah, you did great business for Vince and sold out everywhere. We'd like to bring you in, but do you mind coming? We want to do where you go, a tryout match. I said, Rick, you've known me for 25 fucking years. I don't have to have a tryout match. If you want to see what I can do, go down to the video store and rent any goddamn video. Well, you know, that's what they do nowadays. I said, no, they don't do that with me. If you want me to come there, I'll come there. I'm not going to go there and do a 3 or 4 minute tryout match. Are you kidding me? That's an insult. If you're a truck driver, been driving a truck for 25 years, and I hire you for my company, I'm going to need you to go out there and let me see how you drive. Please. Anyway, I go there, and the first thing I meet Eric Bischoff. And I said, nice to meet you. He said, I want you to know the only reason I'm bringing you in here is because Jimmy Hart will not leave me alone about you. I said, well, that's interesting. He said, and I've never been a fan of your gimmick. Now here's a guy that's supposed to be a booker, a promoter, and try to sell tickets, and he's telling someone that he's not a fan of them, or he's not a fan of their gimmick. Well, what do you want me to do? Shave my head and come as a Hans Schroeder or German, or what the fuck? I just sold out every building across the world for the last 5 years, and obviously I must have pissed Eric Bischoff somewhere down along the line. I never met him before, but he must have saw me on TV and didn't like me. And I said, well, Eric, I hope I can change your mind. And he walks away. I went straight to, back then it was a payphone. I went straight to the payphone. I called my wife. I said, I'm not going to be here long. What happened now? I said, the guy that signs the checks and the guy that writes the big contracts, he said he's not a fan of mine. He does not like my gimmick. And the only reason I'm here is because Jimmy Hart will not leave him alone. It's the only way to shut Jimmy up. She said, well, that's interesting. You going to stay? I said, I'll stay with her a few days and see what happens. So I hung around for a couple of months, didn't get a contract. I was on a daily. I was working 1 day a week. I'd fly from Phoenix to Atlanta, 5 hours, fly back 5 hours. I got paid $1,000. They put me with Johnny B. Bad. Remember him? He had been off for like 3 months with a hangnail or something. Yeah, those guys had contracts where, I mean, I guess if you got hemorrhoids or something, you don't have to work. My hemorrhoids would bother me. So I have a couple of matches with him, and they said, we're going to put you up from 1,000 a day to 1,200. You're doing such good work with Johnny. You're doing such wonderful work with him. You're making him look so good. And it was Fit Finley and Arn Anderson. I said, I'm going to tell you guys something. I ain't doing a fucking thing for him. I'm trying to make myself look good. So then we go to a TV thing. There's a big TV show on a Saturday night, a live show. They come over to me and they said, we want you to slip on a banana peel. That means, you know, he's going to beat you. And I said, not tonight. So then they go get Eric Bischoff. The little stooges run like, you know, like little bitches to go get Eric. Here he comes. He said, what's the problem? I said, ain't no problem. He said, you don't want to do the job? I said, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not doing the job. Well, if you don't do the job, you don't got a job here. I said, well, I'm not on a contract. I'm not a contract player. This is God's honest truth. This is what I said. I'm not on a contract. I'm not a contract player. If I was on a contract, Eric, I wouldn't care if it was a contract for $1,000 for a whole fucking year. That means I have a job. But right now, I'm not on a contract. I'm not a team player. I'm not part of the team. So I can't do this. Because if I go do it, I have no guarantee that when I walk back through the curtain that you won't tell me, pack my bag. He said, no, you don't have a guarantee. I said, that's what I'm not doing. He said, you did jobs for Vince McMahon, and that just really put a fucking rocket in my ass. I was mad now. And I said, I'll tell you what, you couldn't carry Vince McMahon's fucking jockstrap. And I said, when I did the job for Vince McMahon on television, he paid me very fucking well. And what you're paying me is dog shit. He said, well, I can't use you. I said, fine with me. I'd already called a cab anyway. It was waiting at the back door in Nashville, Tennessee at the auditorium. Dean Douglas knows exactly where it's at. Then here comes Hogan. Oh, I'm gonna get to him too. Hey brother, brother. What's going on, brother? I said, you tell me what's going on. He says, well, I don't know. I said, they want me to do this job out here on national TV tonight. I said, I'm not doing that shit. I don't got no contract or nothing. He said, I didn't know that, brother. I said, well, look, if you don't know it, nobody knows it. I said, I'm here to help you. That's why I came here. Not to come here and put these guys over that have been sitting home for 6, 8, 9. Brad Armstrong, a good friend of mine, Brad Armstrong had sat home for almost a year. He snuck down to the building one night to buy the I sent word that I had some steroids I wanted to get rid of because I wasn't taking them anymore. I was in the 40s then. I don't take that shit anymore. He came down to buy these things from me, and he said, I don't want them to see me because my contract is up next week, and if they see me, they might not renew me. If they don't, it's going to roll over for 2 more years at $150,000 a year. He bought the steroids from me. He left the building. It rolled over, and they didn't use Brad for another 2 years. He sat home and drew the money. Teddy Long drew money from down there for 5 years. I never even saw Teddy Long. I mean, it's 5 years ago. I wasn't even sure. So Hogan says, hey, brother. I'm just here to serve. I said, well, if that's all you can do and you can't serve me, I'm out of here. My music was playing, and I got in a cab, and I drove away and never looked back. So Eric Bischoff writes in his book, the one guy he loved firing the most was a honky tonk man. Why in the world did you love firing me, Bischoff? I would really like to ask him someday. What was it so great that you even gave me something in your book about it? Of all the people that went through that company, I guess I did something to that guy somewhere that I don't even know that really pissed him off. Brother.
Right, I think
that's WCW. I wasn't there long enough to learn the fucking words to the song. If somebody knows it, I don't know it. I wasn't there long enough.
I think I'm going to take it out to the people in the crowd. Who has a question for the Honky Tonk Man?
I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break. Let me go get a piss, let them get a cold beer, and then we'll do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that.
5-minute break, ladies and gentlemen. See you shortly.